This is episode 68 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel in the city, Manzano. And William, I couldn't think of a name fast enough, Hagwood.
DJ, throw down the beat.
There you go. There you go. The creator of awesome hits like Sweet Ezra and upcoming tracks, things and stuff.
I got a preview already. You ready for this?
Do it. Do it.
All right. Ding, 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 ding. All right, stop. All right, no, it starts with Gand finds man. All right, Forlom, calculate and listen. The Zuck is back with a brand new bass size. Kanan, guys are holding me tightly. Then I flow through with the jamming daily and nightly. Will there stop? I don't know.
Oh, that's right. That's what we got here for you guys. That's right.
We need to do more ridiculous parodies.
I'm a fan of parodies. Absolutely. So thank you everybody for joining us today, both live and in your cars or wherever you listen to us, in your headphones, on your desk. Hope you all are doing great. Upcoming live streams and casts we have coming up on July 14th. We're going to be streaming from the Store Championship at TPK Games here in the Chicagoland area. That's our next upcoming one. And we're going to go straight into content today because we have a ton to cover. A couple of days ago, Bells of Lost Souls got their hands on, aka FFG, sent to them, the Scum conversion kit. They broke it all out. We got pictures of everything. We need to go through all these cards and just start committing these new abilities and pilots to memory, because with all this changing, like, there's a lot of things that are similar to what was in first edition, but there's enough that has been changed that we have to. We gotta learn these things. So the plan is, our main talking points for most of these is if we notice anything changing about the stats for those ships, we'll bring them up. But pretty much we'll be talking about how many generics for each one you get. Are there any new pilots that that weren't in first edition? And each of us will kind of take a turn for each, and we'll get started here. So we'll start with the Fang fighter, which actually there was today a preview. Siri, why are you talking to me? Sorry about that, guys. The Fang fighter had a preview today. Nothing new in that article that we haven't seen before, and that wasn't in this Bell of Lost Souls video. So we're getting a total of 6 different pilots for the Fang fighter. You're getting 3 of the PS1 generic Zealot Recruit. Sorry, I said PS1 Initiative 1. Zealous Recruit. I do find it interesting that they have an Initiative 4 generic here. You got the Gold Squadron pilot. That's, on that scale of 6, that's pretty high for a what is the word they're using now? Non-limited. And then we got 4 unique pilots. We'll start at the top here. You have Fen Rao with essentially the same ability. At range 1, you get an additional die, both offensively and defensively. Old Tarok has been tweaked a little bit. We did see this earlier, but I think it's good enough to still bring up. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 enemy ship at range 1. If you do, and you are in its front firing arc, it removes all green tokens. So that includes Reinforce. That's the important one there. You got Joey Rekoff at Initiative 4. While you perform an attack, you may spend 1 charge from an equipped torpedo upgrade. If you do, that defender rolls 1 fewer defense die. On this pilot, while I like the idea of reducing agility, it's going to be, I think the usefulness of this is dependent on the cost of the torpedoes and how many charges you end up getting. It's a little bit of a niche ability. I'm not sure how often we're gonna see this pilot. And then Cad Solis using the old Fen Rao art. If you notice that's gonna screw some people up for sure. And it says, after you fully execute a red maneuver, gain 2 focus tokens. I really like this guy in 2nd edition. we haven't seen very many ships that can token stack, and now we have somebody that can. You get 2 focus tokens right out the bat when you do these red maneuvers. So it's every other turn essentially. You end up with double focus, which is really, really good. So we'll see how that turns out. Any thoughts on the Fang Fighter, gentlemen?
If Joy can get if there's a torpedo for Joy that has more than 2 charges, it could be potentially good. But I think only the proton and ion torpedoes that have been announced have just 2 charges.
So if we can get to that 3. So that's something they're going to have to keep in mind when they design torpedoes in the future. If they end up adding too many, that could be Joy can come and wreck us. Then we get to the fire spray. Go ahead and take that one, Marcel.
Oh god, I'm having a hard time reading this. These are small. So Scarlet, while you perform a primary attack, if there is at least one friendly non-limited ship at range, what is that range? 0 of the defender,
0, yeah.
Roll 1 additional attack die. So basically, you have to be, somebody else has to be bumping it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't say range 1 or. Okay. I mean, I guess it's a positive and a negative. Positive, you get the extra die at the front and the back this time. Negative is it has a condition that's probably going to be a little bit tough to trigger a lot of the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It looks like Eamon has the exact same ability. Nothing different there. Same thing with Boba Fett, with the only difference on Boba Fett being, you know, the range 0 and 1 versus just 1. Bounty Hunter, that's generic. Crassus Trellix. You can perform a forward or backward arc special attack. So you can perform your special attacks out of the front and the back. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so your
While
torpedoes
you perform
and cannons.
a special attack, you may reroll 1 attack die. So that's, and you get to reroll. So that's kind of like the VCXs. VCX get to shoot their torpedoes out of the front and the back, and you also get a reroll. So I think that's really strong. And pilot skill 3 is about average now. It's not that bad anymore. And finally is Koshka Frost. While you defend, perform an attack, if the enemy ship is stressed, you may reroll 1 of your dice. Yeah, it's good. Especially, are they going to be able to get crew?
We don't know.
You don't know yet? No. Because if they can get crew and you can get something like the one that, you know, the first one to attack, it gets stress. If that's still around, then that would be pretty solid.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week. I think there is a crew slot on the.
Yeah, the upgrade comes with crew. There's a Boba Fett crew that comes with the expansion.
Yeah.
So we assume.
Cool. That's the fire spray. You're going to be getting 2 of those generic bounty hunters. Will?
All right. Next up is the Starfighter. We have Prince Caesar, who has a very similar ability, except for. No, I believe it's the exact same because it still does range 1 damage. Or excuse me, I'll just read it. While you defend after the neutralize result step, after a friendly ship at range 0 to 1, attack arc may suffer 1 hit or crit damage. If it does, cancel 1 matching result. So the tweak is that the ship taking the damage must be in the firing arc as well. Otherwise, pretty much the same. Dalen got a really big overhaul because his first ability was so long I can't remember it. But now it says, after you fully execute a maneuver, you may gain 1 stress token to rotate your ship 90 degrees, which is outrageous. Hard ones could potentially turn into a Talon roll. Everything turns into a Talon roll or sloop then, right?
Yeah.
But can you go the other way then?
You can go any way. You just
I
turn
can't
it.
even.
You just turn it 90 degrees in either direction. So here's the thing about this guy. I love that they simplified his ability first because it was way too much text, and people got confused on the old ability all the time. One important thing to note though is competitively, at least, that some of these maneuvers that will fit when you turn 90 degrees will not fit when it comes to placing it the normal way. You have to, in order to use this ability, it says after you fully execute a maneuver. So let's say it's a 3-bank, right? If those nubs like don't slot into the back of that maneuver template correctly, if you're going over another ship, then you don't get to use Dalen's ability. You've bumped with the normal ability. So you have to complete the maneuver, then 90. Because I don't know if you guys have ever done those like really close like Talon rolls and things like that, where the only reason it fits is because you're able to, slide it and not use the, the normal placement. So I just find that interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to visualize. So if you hard won, and then you'd normally be facing, let's say, left from where your original spot, you could then face it back forward. Is that right?
Yep.
I can't even. I'm having troubles even imagining that. Right.
You could also end up essentially doing with a 1 hard, end up doing a turnaround maneuver.
Yeah, just like regular Talon roll.
Yep.
That's good. At pot skill 4 though, or initiative 4, not too amazing, but
that's what reins it in, right?
Right. All right. Next up is Guri, the droid. So she has to calculate. At the start of the engagement phase, if there is at least one enemy ship at range 0 to 1, you may gain 1 focus token. So almost the same ability, though it's better because she normally only has to calculate, and she's initiative 5, which like doubled her original initiative. It's crazy. Those are the named pilots. You also get an initiative 3 and initiative 2 Starfighter.
You're getting 2 copies of each of those. Then we got the tugboat, the quad jumper. The correct name, I guess, is the quad jet transfer space tug. I love these little extra text that's on there. Unkar Plut, that was one that we did get early in the original reveal that FFG did. It says at the start of the engagement phase, if there are 1 or more other ships at range 0, so touching you, and at range 0, you and each other ship at range 0 gain 1 tractor token. So you and everybody touching you gets a tractor. So you just trying to take Unkar and just throw him in there, but be mindful that he's also losing agility and being moved around. So that matters. That's at initiative 2. Also at initiative 2, you got Sarko Plank with, I believe it's the same ability. Your executed maneuver equals your agility for that turn. Then Constable Zuvio has the most changed ability, but he could it's still a little bit similar. It says if you would drop a device, so a bomb, but they might have other things in the future that end up being also devices, you may launch it using the 1 forward instead of whatever is the preconceived text on the device cards. And then you're going to be getting 3 of the Jakku Gunrunners, and if you haven't noticed, the I realized that we forgot to mention on the other cards, is that every pilot now, if you haven't, let's say you're just jumping into the 2nd edition stuff, every ship, not every ship, some ships have ship abilities. The old space tug tractor array is now a ship ability on this, and essentially does the same thing, but is a little bit more powerful. Space tug tractor array is an action, and you can choose a ship in your front firing arc at range 1. That ship gains 1 tractor token or 2 tractor tokens if you are in the bullseye. So you're getting a little bit of a bonus there. Just to kind of pedal back here, the Star Viper has the Mark III where you have to do your barrel rolls with the banks. That's its ship ability. The Fire Spray didn't have one, and the Fang fighter, which we did first, has essentially the Concord Dawn title, but better because you don't have to be facing your opponent. You just have to be in range 1 and in arc to get that evade result added, which is really powerful. All right, Marcel, Y wings.
Why not? What?
Y wings.
Okay, the first one, Drea Anthony. While a friendly non-limited ship performs an attack, if the defender is in your firing arc, the attacker may reroll 1 attack die. Pretty good support ship. It doesn't say whether it does it have to be. Did they already say that if you have a turret or something like that firing arc?
Oh, can you say that again? You cut out.
In the one that it says, if the defender is in your firing arc, the attacker may reroll 1 attack die.
Mm-hmm.
Does it count if you're on mobile arcs, and does it count on turrets?
Yeah,
as comes an arc.
So when it just says firing arc, it's whatever is active. So if you have a mobile set to the left, it would work as well.
Okay, cool. Pretty cool ability. While you perform a non-forward attack, roll 1 additional attack die on Cavil, which is essentially the same that he does now. So there's no real change on Cavil. Then you have a pilot skull, a initiative 1 generic, and an initiative 2 generic as well. Is that really it for the Y wings?
That's it for Scum. So yeah, it's you get 2 copies of each of those generic pilots, and it is important to know, if you hadn't noticed yet, that the Y-wing does have a red barrel roll and a red reload action built in to those ships. William, let's talk about the Scurrg.
Oh boy! All right, let's start with the local revenant first. Just initiative 2, you get 2 copies of it. Because I assume they still give you 2 dials. Is that more or less right? By the way, each time they give you multiple generics, you're going to get.
That is the number of dials you're getting.
Every ship gets 2 dials, correct?
That I'm not 100% sure on. I can do a little research while you talk.
Well, I think it's assumed, but anyways, Soul 6, we'll start there. She's initiative 3, and says, if you would drop a device using the 1 straight template, you may drop it using any other speed 1 template. That is actually a boost, because she would normally do just the hard ones. Now can do 1 banks as well. Though, I guess it still depends on the bounds. The whole the Scurrg is a bomber, so it depends on the strength of the bounds, which have been significantly toned down. And it kind of reminds me of the bomber's natural ability, the TIE bomber's natural ability. Anyways, moving on to Captain Nim. He is initiative 5, which is very good. And it says, before a friendly bomb or mine would detonate, you may spend 1 charge to prevent it from detonating. He does get 1 charge per round, so it's a once per round ability. And that is his Rebel, in first edition, his Rebel Nim ability of freezing the bomb. He also has, while you defend against an attack obstructed by a bomb or mine, roll 1 additional defense dice, which is similar to his secondary ability, I guess, for Scum. But instead of just adding a pure evade result, it just adds a die.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about this Captain Nim and how it's written out here, I find it interesting that they didn't use just the bomb icon rather than writing bomb or mine. I also find it interesting that they are using the word bomb or mine, because in game in upgrades we don't have mines. Like, mines isn't a thing. Like, that has become a in first edition, it was kind of something that the community came up with. We decided that, you know, all mines are things that stay on the field, and bombs are the things that blow up at the end of activation. But when it came to the slot, it was just the bomb slot. So just a little bit of something I find cute, I guess. Captain Nim is still going to be very good. Still good, but I think the fact that the bombs have been toned down a little bit, a lot of it, it's gonna be more balanced, and his point cost will definitely adjust if he continues to be abused.
Quick question before we move on about the bombs. Do we know what the bomblet generator does for damage?
That's a good question. How
I guess
about?
we'll wait for upgrades then.
Yeah.
But we'll keep it in mind.
I feel like we did see we saw a sheet. People of the internet, let us know. I think we did see what the bomb generator did. But we'll continue here. It is my turn. So next ship here on the list is the M3A Interceptor. Now, one thing about the M3A, you don't see it too often in competitive play because it does have, you know, this low kind of TIE Fighter-ish hull count, and it can die pretty easily. I think we might actually see some more play from this ship because with the attack power level coming down, you know, it is they might be viable. Like, the abilities are really good. Like, I really enjoy them. They add a lot of cool options to your squad, and with that low agility, with the low hull, you know that they're going to be cheaper filler type ships, so you might be able to get some cool abilities here. So we get 8 different pilots in total. 6 of them are unique to our generics. You're going to get 4 copies of each of the generics. That's the Initiative 1 and the Initiative 3. Then at Initiative 1, you got Sunny Bounder with the same ability as before. By the way, all of these have the heavy point ship ability. You can equip 1 cannon, torpedo, or missile upgrade to it. Hey, Will, can you do me a favor? And Marcel, can you guys mute? Thank you. Just getting a lot of background. Then Anoldra actually got a little bit of a buff here. While you defend or perform an attack, you may, so now it's not just defending, it's both here. You may suffer 1 damage to reroll any number of your dice. So before it was you must spend a shield to reroll only your defense dice. Now it's attacking or defending, and it's just a damage. So if she's living on 2 and she has an opportunity to spend, you know, take 1 hit and maybe dodge it all, that's an opportunity that an Ultra players will have. At Initiative 3, we got Quinn Jost. Says, at the start of the engagement phase, you may gain 1 disarm token to recover 1 charge on one of your equipped upgrades. Essentially, the same ability as in first edition, except now it's with the upgraded charge system rather than saying flip the card over. So you basically get to regenerate your missile or torpedo is what it's saying there. Initiative 3 as well, we got Leighton Ashera, a new pilot, I think. No, this one's not new because I recognize the ability. After you attack or defend, or perform an attack, if the attack missed, gain an evade token. I don't like this ability. It's saying like when you don't succeed, you get an evade token, or when people don't hit you, you get this evade token that is now less useful because an attack just missed anyway. Like it, I think it's a little too situational. I personally don't like it. Genesis Red says after you acquire a lock, you must remove all of your focus and evade tokens. Then gain the same number of focus and evade tokens that the lock ship has. Same ability as before. It just has this added pretext at the beginning that says, like, if you had some way to pass it tokens plus Genesis Red doing a target lock to get more, you can't do that anymore. No more restacking. You're just taking the tokens. You're essentially just copying what they had and not worrying about what you had before. And then lastly, at Initiative 5, Sarasu, the highest, excuse me, Sarasu says, while a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 defends, it may re-roll one of its dice. I really like this because Sarasu, just like Howlrunner can work on herself, Sarasu can now also work on herself because she's at range 0 of herself. And it doesn't say other friendly ship, it just says friendly ship. So buff there for Sarasu, and I think it's a piece that we will see played when it comes to Scum, because now it's a little bit more survivable. You have those rerolls, and we know that in first edition, things like Lone Wolf and being able to reroll defense dice is just really good. So that's an option we have there. Then we move on to the Z95, Marcel.
Okay, so you get Nash Tap, which is I think no change there, right? It's still the same as it is now, which is the one that comes out of the Houndstooth after it gets destroyed. You will get 3 of the pilot skill 1 binary pilots, and then as far as the uniques, you also get, what is it, 3 generic Black Sun soldiers, which are pilot skill 3. Wow, they only have 2 unique Z95s. I'm kind of let down. I love Z95s. You get Kato Lichos. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 friendly ship at range 0 to 2. If you do, transfer 1 focus or evade token from that ship to yourself. Doesn't really change anything except nothing, right? Before was before only the focus token?
I think before
that might be the only difference.
Yeah, I think that before was only focus.
Yeah, so now you get focus or evade. And yeah, that's I think another thing that it might have changed is since it's range 0, if there's something like a tiny mind link for whatever reason, something like that, you can take a focus token and pass it to yourself to trigger some type of ability because you're at range 0 of yourself to yourself. I don't know.
You're not wrong. Yeah, that's.
I mean, if they come out with a card like with a mind link type ability that acquiring a focus token triggers some other action. So I guess it enables that.
Yeah, there's some Jankwing ready to happen right there.
Yeah, and then and then the next one is in Drew, which is while you perform a primary attack, if there are no other friendly ships at range 0 to 2, roll 1 additional attack die. No change there. It's the same ability that he has now.
The only change there is that it has to be primary now. Before you could do it on missiles and things like that.
Primary. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
And it is important to note that the Z95 does have that red barrel roll, which I love, because I've been flying a Z95 in my current squad right now, and it just once in a while, I would kill for a barrel roll, knowing that it's coming. That's sad because I want to use it now, but it's going to be there's some tech there. The stars have a line, William. Go for it.
I know, right? Moving on to the Gained Findsman ship. This is the G1A Starfighter, and you get 2 Initiative 1 Gained Findsman. You also get Zuckuss at Initiative 3. Says, while you perform a primary attack, you may roll 1 additional die. If you do, the defender rolls 1 additional die as well. This changes because you used to be able to use Zuckuss on his Mist Hunter equipped tractor beam, and as they now can equip any cannon, this ability has changed to just primary. Still very good. Attack dice are always better than defense dice, and that's 5 dice at range 1, so it's not bad. They also have at the same Initiative 3, Forlom. And he says, after you fully execute a red maneuver, gain 1 calculate token. At the start of the end phase, you may choose 1 ship at range 0 to 1. If you do, transfer one of your stress tokens to that ship, which was basically his ability in first edition, but now he gets the additional after executing a red maneuver, which is similar to Outlaw Tech, but gets just calculates because he's a droid. So, so very good. I like that they combine together now, so you can do a red move, which they have a bunch of, and you can gain the calculate and then give the stress to an enemy or friendly ship. Potentially somebody with much better greens than the G1A.
Yeah, and that Outlaw Tech ability is something that, like, right away when it first came out, I think most people saw that combo there. You put Outlaw Tech on it because of how terrible that dial is. All that red. So we move on now to the Kihraxz fighter, K-fighter, however you want to call it. When it comes to the generics, you're getting 3 of the Initiative 2 Cartel Marauders, 3 of the Black Sun Ace actions. It does gain the barrel roll action. It's white as well, no red, no penalties. Then we have Captain Justero at Initiative 3. After an enemy ship suffers damage, if it is not defending, you may perform a bonus attack against that ship. Same ability as before, nothing's changed. But what has changed a little bit is that there's a little bit less. I mean, I can't even say that because we don't know everything. I think the situations in which people get the Justero ability off is going to be different. Currently, we're using it with like Harpoon Splash and all that stuff, so things will change a little bit, but it's still a powerful ability if you can get it to go off. Still triggers on bombs, which is probably where we'll still see it. Victor Hell at Initiative 4. After you defend, if you did not roll exactly 2 defense dice, the attacker gains 1 stress token. No change there. You're looking to be obstructed or range 3 in order to get that to trigger. Graz, formerly known as Graz the Hunter, I guess he's given up that life for some reason. Says
no, it's his title.
Oh, duh, the Hunter. It's right there. What a fail. Read the subtitles, Dion. While you defend, if you are behind the attacker, roll 1 additional defense dice. So this is some turret defenses, or not turret, what are they now? Mobile arc defense. And while you perform an attack, if you are behind a defender, roll an additional attack dice. So you're trying to take Graz and be hunt. I like it. It's a little bit themey, right? Like you're following from behind because you're hunting your prey.
I have a question about that. Because all of the ships have fore and aft separated, does this simply mean in the rear half of the ship?
Yeah, I believe so. Fully in the rear half of the ship. That's probably how it'll be ruled here. But yeah, that's cool, right? That they have that line, and this is one of the few abilities that have been added to a change ship that uses that new line. So I like that. And lastly, we have at Initiative 5, Talonbane Cobra. While you defend at attack range 3, I don't like the way that's worded. While you defend at attack range 3 or perform an attack at attack range 1, roll 1 additional die. So same ability as before, essentially. Why do you guys think it's worded that way?
So it works on secondary weapons. Because it's not a range bonus anymore. He just happens to be at range 3.
Okay. But doesn't
that makes sense.
Didn't it work the same way before, though? Like, if you just say, while you defend...
it was double your bonus. So it wouldn't work on a missile or a torpedo.
Why wouldn't they just say, while you defend at range 3 or perform an attack at range 1? Like, why add that?
What is an attack range?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Well, attack range would be also Inquisitor. Like Inquisitor would impact attack range.
Ah, I think that's it right there, Marcel. The Inquisitor. Boom. Yep. That's it. All right. Good point. I stand corrected. But yeah, so that's the Kihraxz fighter. Then we move on to the IG-88s.
All right. So with IG-88, let's start with A. At the start of the emergent engagement phase, you may choose one friendly ship with a calculate. Is that what it is?
Yes, calculate.
With a calculate token on its action bar at range 1 to 3. If you do, transfer one of your calculate tokens to it. It just basically passes off a calculate token. Then this IG-88B. After you perform an attack that misses, you may perform a bonus cannon attack, which is ultimately the same ability that it has now. IG-88C. After you perform a boost action, you may perform an evade action. It doesn't say free anymore, but I guess it's intended. No change there. IG-88D. While you execute a Segner's loop maneuver, you may use another template of the same speed instead to either turn 3 left, hard right of the same direction. Basically, it's the same one. They just also let you go straight and do a K turn instead as well.
Mm-hmm.
Same ability, but it adds the K turn.
Yep.
And I think, William, your background is really loud.
That fan.
Yeah.
Ah.
I turned the fan off. I'm sitting here in silence.
Oh, then it's your mic opening up and wanting to hear you. I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, did we get through all those? I'm sorry. You went through.
They do get the advanced droid brain, so when they calculate, they get an additional calculate token, which is really important for IG-88A, because it's only one of his 2 calculate tokens he would have.
Oh, my calculates. Can't hold them.
Okay. So they get double focuses, all of them?
Double calculates. Potentially.
Yeah, so AB is going to be pretty... Actually, either AB or BC are going to be pretty good. Nice.
So, Marcel, I'm going to have you do the next one as well.
Nah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to.
So the next one are the JumpMasters. And first you start off with a contracted scout generic at Pilot Skill 2. I think we already know all the things that go along with it. No extra abilities. At Pilot Skill 3, you get Manaroo, which you should do Manaroo if we're going that route.
My babe.
So you want
sure.
Do Manaroo, I'll do the other ones.
So at the start of the engagement phase, you may choose a friendly ship at range 0 to 1. If you do, transfer all green tokens assigned to you to that ship. So important change here. No target lock passing, whether that's a positive or a negative target lock. It's just the green tokens now. And it's still, I mean, 0 to 1, it's that same restriction as what we have before. The difficult thing with this ship, though, is going to be the fact that the dial has been really reined in big time. The actions have been reined in big time. So we'll see how useful Manaroo is, in the months to come. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I think they're gonna make these eventually the cost similar to like a little higher than a Hawk or something like that. Just to get them to see some play. Number 4, Tel Travera. If you would be destroyed, you may spend one of your are those the
charges?
Charges?
Yep.
Okay, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, discard all of your damage cards, suffer 5 damage, and place yourself in reserve instead. At the start of the next planning phase, place yourself within range 1 of your player edge. Okay, so that's a little bit different. So it's basically you get out of the play field and then you come back the next round anywhere you want from your initial deployment. That's good.
That's a bit of a buff. Like I know that the ship has been turned down, but like you get out of danger for that one turn. Like you're guaranteed one more turn.
Yeah, because you get to place anywhere you want, and you can. Again, you're not. If there's any way to recharge like Gonk or anything like that, then it can really come in handy. I don't know if something like Gonk or one of those type of abilities that lets you recharge, or either remove damage or recharge shields, then it might be useful. And then with Dengar, after you defend, if the attacker is in your forward arc, you may spend 1 charge to perform a bonus attack against that attacker. And those charges regenerate. Yep.
On Dengar,
an arrow next to it. Yep. So you get to do that once per round, basically. Attack back, which with the title will be still a good ability. It'll just be hard to fly this ship because it won't be able to turn right at all.
Don't you dare try to do that right turn. Go ahead, Will.
All right, next up is the Lancer class pursuit craft. Starts off with a single Shadowport Hunter, which I find interesting that the Contracted Scout and the Shadowport Hunter are only given 1 in these conversion kits. But that's just initiative 2. Has a big change for the Shadow Caster is the 2 dice mobile arc, which will be very significant about how that ship flies. Very weak attack. Well, not very weak, but a weaker attack in that mobile arc. Starts off with Sabine Wren at initiative 3. While you defend, if the attacker is in your mobile arc at range 0 to 2, you may add 1 focus result to your dice results. It's almost identical then to the current ability that she has.
You know, we never see her be. Once she was released, we never saw that ship on the table. Besides people trying to make it work.
Well, it's because it didn't have an elite pilot talent. I mean, that's really the only reason. If it had an elite pilot talent, it would have. I think it would have seen some play because then you would have pushed the limit or some other things on it to make it viable. But without an EPT, wasn't good. Same thing with the generic. If the generic would have been an EPT generic, you would have seen it on the table, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I also think that the combination of Lats and Asajj does almost the exact same thing without requiring you to have a focus token.
Mm-hmm.
Because it still would essentially add an evade result. So I think she just got booted out by Asajj. We'll see if she comes back. Though Asajj is still very good. At initiative 4, she has the ability at the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 enemy ship in your mobile arc at range 0 to 2 and spend 1 force charge of her 2. If you do, that ship gains 1 stress token unless it removes 1 green token. So this will be similar to her current ability, though it can kind of work as like a hotshot hotshot co-pilot. Mm-hmm. That if you would rather keep your green token, you can take the stress. If you don't want the stress, you could just remove your green token. So there's a lot of play there. Unless you didn't get a green token, then you're kind of stuck taking the stress. But as I believe the only pilot who's a force user for Scum,
mm-hmm.
You'll see her. She's not going anywhere, that's for sure.
Nope.
Moving on to initiative 5, Ketsu Ono has the ability at the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 ship in both your forward arc and your your forward arc and your mobile arc at range 0 to 1 If you do, that ship gains 1 tractor token. So almost identical to her current ability, that you almost need to overlap your mobile to your front arc.
It's way better because now it adds your secondary arc as well, your mobile arc, where before it was only your front. Or is it still the same way that both of them have to be painted?
Both of them have to be.
It has to be both. Yep. So basically,
yeah.
the same.
Okay. But they still have to be. Okay, got it.
Tractor is still very good.
Oh yeah. One thing about this card spread, I love that they changed the Asajj art on there, and they show the Clone Wars concept art Shadowcaster in that art. So if you're not familiar with that, in the Clone Wars, it got canceled before they actually got to finish it. One of the upcoming episodes, you were gonna see Asajj and her ship, this like modified Lancer class pursuit craft. So that's the story behind that. Then we move on to the Trandoshan Slaver. No ship ability on this one. Excuse me, the YV-666 / Houndstooth. You get one, again, another single generic Trandoshan Slaver. I'm wondering if you notice, it's the large base ships. They're only giving us one of these generic pilots. Maybe that's just FFG saying, like, hey, we don't want you spamming generic large base ships, or we're going to make it harder to happen. Hashtag for, JumpMasters on the table, or stuff like that. Then at Initiative 3, we have Lots Razi. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose a ship at range 1 and spend a lock you have on that ship. If you do, that ship gains 1 tractor token. So the ability's been tweaked a little bit. Before, it was spending a target lock to reduce agility when attacking against it. Now it is a tractor token, so now it affects everybody who's shooting that specific target. I think it's gotten a little bit of a bump there.
Oh yeah, sure. And you also get to reposition. So if yeah, so if it's against a generic or something that shoots after you, then you can put it on a rock or do something to keep it from shooting.
That's right. Then Initiative 4, Moralo Evolve. This is one that we saw really early. Maybe you haven't heard about it, but it's tons of fun. It says it has 2 charges on the card, which are going to end up being important. It says, if you flee, which means fly off the board, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, place yourself in reserves instead. At the start of the next planning phase, place yourself within range 1 of the edge of the play area that you fled from. So one really cute opening you can do is you face yourself towards a corner on a purposeful bump, okay? And depending on deployment, you choose to either do a hard right turn or go straight, assuming you're setting up on your right side. And now you have 2 complete sides worth of board open to you right there. But this is going to be an interesting ability that people are definitely going to try to leverage. Just the fact that you can turn this thing around after making a pass is going to be huge, because before you're just kind of stuck on those 3 turns. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what shenanigans people do with this ability.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of my favorite ships. I think it's going to be one of everybody's favorite ships. Just try to get somebody to chase you, and then you really can't chase this ship very long because you have no idea where it's going to end up.
I know.
It's going to be awesome.
That's going to be fun. And then also at Initiative 4, we have Bosk, the Fearsome Hunter. It says, while you perform a primary attack, after the neutralize results step, you may spend 1 crit result to add to hit results. Same ability. It just is saying that the crit, they're just using the new language. The crit has to go through and has to be completely uncanceled, and then that just splits into the 2 hits. Yeah, tons of fun there. And next we have the Kimogila.
I guess it's me.
Yep.
Oh wait, is it?
Yep.
All right. So this time you're only getting 2 generics of the same initiative, Initiative 3. They're getting rid of the lowest initiative generic, and the did they change the way that the arc still stays the same, right? While you perform an attack, if the defender is in your bullseye, the defense dice cannot be modified using the green tokens.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it
that
gets
remains
the
same.
original ability, yeah.
All right. Next at Initiative 3, I keep trying to say pilot skill. At Initiative 3, Dallin Oberos, at the start of the engagement phase, you may choose one shielded ship in your bullseye and spend 1 charge. It comes with 2 charges. If you do, that ship loses 1 shield and you recover 1 shield. That is pretty darn amazing. It only has 2 shields, but I mean that is I think that's an awesome ability. I don't know if it's better than it. Yeah, it's just I mean it'll be interesting if it flies against something that has regen on it. You're just both regenerating back and forth. I get a shield, and I get a shield, and then I take a shield. You take a shield. I get a shield. So this will be interesting. I think with only 2 shields, it's going to be not as powerful as it could have been, but it's still going to be good. After you perform an attack, the next one is Tarani Kulda at 4, Initiative 4. After you perform an attack, each enemy ship at your bullseye suffers 1 damage unless it removes 1 green token. Now this one changes the language a little bit because now it says specifically unless it removes. That means if you don't have a green token to remove, you will suffer a damage. Where before they're like, you can spend 0 focuses. Well, now you can't. You can't remove 0 focuses.
And I think this is how the original one was intended, but because they put themselves in that corner by you doing that any number of tokens, I think when they designed it, like, oh yeah, that they're gonna do damage and or get rid of the tokens, they're like, oh crap.
Mm-hmm.
With the prior precedent, 0 is a number, X, Y, and Z. This just says, all right, you're gonna take a damage or lose a token. Choose, and if you don't have one, you're screwed. So
yeah, I think overall this ship, just in general, I think everyone would agree that it's overall a buff to this ship. This ship's getting an overall buff just because of, well, not this ship. These 2 pilots are getting an overall buff. The free target lock is good, but stealing a shield is better.
And a couple of things to note, that the barrel roll now becomes red on this. Now, the dial is pretty limited, so they reined it in just a little bit. They gave a little bit more powerful ability. Say, if you can get that bullseye off, you were working for it with that red barrel roll.
Yeah, it's also on a medium base now, so I think the bullseye is going to be more difficult to achieve.
Oh yeah. And go ahead and take your birdie.
The hawk.
Yep.
Oh my god, I got the hawk. Nice. I was waiting for it the whole time. Starting off with the Spice Runner, Initiative 1. No flavor text there. Just has all of the amazing actions that the new hawks get. Focus to move turret, target lock to move turret, red boost, rotate, and red jam. That's a delicious action bar. Anyways, moving on to the named pilots. We have Initiative 2, Torkoal Mux. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 ship in your firing arc. If you do, that ship engages at Initiative 0 instead of its normal initiative for this round. Though I forget the source, but I believe that it is confirmed that your firing arc is only 1 to 3. So
yes.
no infinite ranges on Torkoal, unfortunately. But
0 to 3. That's important.
Yes, 0 to 3, which is a small buff. You get a little bit longer range there. And you still have the mobile arc, so you can move that around as need be.
I think Yeah, I think another thing to note on this with the way that it exists, now it is you may choose where is it? One ship in your firing arc. So if there is for whatever reason, um, for whatever reason you might want to have one ship shoot last, then you have the ability to put your own ship at
Good.
pilot skills at initiative 0. An example of that would be I don't know. That's something like it's something with Justero, maybe just that somebody else can trigger Justero's ability by doing something, or if there's something like with fire control system and like you may spend somebody else's target like type of thing. Anything like that, you might have the ability to play off, putting your own ship at pilot skill 0.
Yeah. Also, maximum disrespect of just making your own ships initiative 0. All right, anyways, moving on to, I'm going to be looking for that in the next one here now as well. Paylab, Godali?
Yep.
Godali. Initiative 3 says, at the start of the engagement phase, you may choose one enemy ship in your firing arc at range 0 to 2. If you do, transfer one focus or evade token from that ship to yourself. So almost identical, except for it is restricted to your arc. Still very powerful. If you didn't get that jam off, you just take their token anyways. And then move on to Dace Bonearm at initiative 4. After an enemy ship at range 0 to 3 receives at least one ion token, you may spend all 3 of your charges. If you do, that ship gains 2 additional ion tokens. So those charges come back once per round. So this is a once every 3 rounds ability. But the 2 additional ion tokens is exactly what will ionize a large base ship, because you will need 3 for the large, 2 for the medium, and just 1 for a small base. So if this is kind of a large base counter if they ever get too strong in the meta.
I'm gonna put you on a rock. Big ship. Yeah, I mean those large bases take up so much space, so that could be big. It is important to note. We'll see. Again, we don't have the research yet because that hasn't happened. But depending on how game length changes with second edition, it will determine how good this ability is, because that'll tell you how many times you'll be able to trigger it. Whether it's just really going to be it's essentially a once per game ability, or 2, or maybe even 3 times. Like that could change a couple things up.
Well, what was your research? I thought you said games were averaging like 11 or 12 rounds.
Yeah, 11 or 12. I noticed that in the last couple months, it has been trending to more turns for whatever reason. Well, I think people are playing a lot of 2-ship lists is what has been happening lately. A lot of your Ghost Fen, and at the competitive level, these people are playing a little bit faster. Most of the time, so we're maybe at 12 to 13 if you wanted to average it there. So it's going to take you a few turns to engage, so that's maybe 3 to 4 turns. You get it off the first time, and then that's at 4 turns. Then you need 3 more to get it off again. You maybe get it off twice on average, or have the opportunity to do it twice.
Yeah, I could see Dace actually being cheaper than even Paylab or Torkoal, just because of that ability.
Yeah, I do agree. So, Marcel, you put up a monkey on the stream. That's awesome. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was starting to get a little laggy.
It's all right. I'll put up the Wookiee picture. It's more powerful. So then we're gonna get into the upgrades now. We did get an answer earlier. Thank you to the people who posted in the chat, and we'll start with Bomblet Generator. Bomblet Generator here says, during the system phase, you may spend 1 charge to drop a bomblet with the 1 forward template. You do have 2 charges total there. At the start of the activation phase, you may spend 1 shield to recover 2 of those charges. The bomb from the bomblet does roll 2 dice, but it no longer does crit damage. It's still 2 dice. It does hit damage on a crit result. So still has 2 hit potential, but takes away the crit here. It's important to note that you can still potentially do this for a longer amount of time with regenning abilities. Nim is still going to want this, but they've lowered the amount of shields. I think he has only 4 shields now. Am I right on that, guys?
Yeah, it has only 4 shields and no reload action. So it's the only way that ship's going to get more bombs.
Yeah, so you know, it'll have to be managed, and having that 1 agility hurts with this ability because you can get through those shields pretty quickly on a Scurrg. It's getting those last 4 to 5 hull that are really the struggle. So we'll see how good Bomblet Generator actually is in the meta to come. Counter nets, 1 charge, 1-time use here. During the system phase, you may spend 1 charge to drop a counter net using the 1 forward template. This card's charges cannot be recovered. Very similar ability to before, doing ions and taking away actions. Proton bombs, during the system phase, you may spend 2 charges to drop a proton bomb using the 1 straight template. It has 2 charges, doesn't have that you cannot recover text on it, but I think the change on this one is that it flips cards. I'm not entirely sure on that one. Let me...
Proton bomb just does a regular damage. It's the new seismic.
Okay, but does it go underneath the shields?
No, it's just you just suffer a critical damage. So if you
it says 1 charge.
Okay, it suffers a critical damage. So if you don't have shield, it is a crit.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it. Seismic charges, same text as before. You spend a charge to drop it during the system phase. 2 charges, but this one blows up a obstacle at range 1 of the token, and then everybody at range 1 of that obstacle takes a damage. So I like that. I think it's super cool and themey. I'm a fan. Hashtag episode 2. Right there is what they're referring to. And then proximity mines have 2 charges as well. During the system phase, you may spend a charge to drop it, and those now only roll 2 dice instead of 3.
I do want to make a note here.
Yep.
There's a bolded word that you didn't read on all of those cards.
Oh, they did. Look at that. Bomb, mine. They did add that. Interesting.
Yep.
Yep,
call back to Captain Nim's ability.
There you go. All right, so we have the reasons now. So that means that they can have bomb slots and maybe have something that says in the future like it has a slot but cannot equip mines.
Oh no, I'm thinking buzz droids as a device. That's not a bomb or mine.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, future-proofed already, dude.
I like it. Cool. All right. Marcel. We got the illicits.
Rigged cargo chute. Action. Spend 1 charge to drop 1 loose cargo using the 1 template. And it only has 1 charge. That's the same thing as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next one is Dead Man Switch. After you are destroyed, each ship at range 0 to 1 suffers 1 damage. No change there. Cloaking device. Spend 1 charge to perform a
cloak action.
A cloak action. At the start of the planning phase, roll 1 attack die on a focus result, decloak, or discard your cloak token. This one changed a little bit, so basically it gives you two uses of it now. You can choose to decloak when you roll the focus token, but you still have another charge to use it again. So that's kind of a buff, and I think a well-needed buff. Next is inertial dampeners. Before you would execute a maneuver, you may spend 1 shield. If you do, execute a white 0 stop instead of the maneuver you revealed, then gain 1 stress token. No change there, I don't think.
Well, you lose a shield now.
Before you would... spend 1 shield. Hey, ouch.
Yeah, but it doesn't discard though, so you can use it multiple times, as many shields as you would like to spend.
And shields are at a premium now, so okay. Feedback array before you engage. Actually, that might actually. Sorry, I'm going back. That might be good on something like Dallin, because Dallin steals shields. So just take a shield, stop, and steal it, and just steal it right back. So that might be something. All right, feedback array. Before you engage, you may gain 1 ion token and 1 disarm token. If you do, each ship at range 0 to 1 suffers 1 damage. So same as before, you hurt yourself.
They
but
tweaked it just a bit though, because now it is an area of effect attack. It's everybody at range 1.
Oh, before you had to choose 1?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's also it's the same before you engage, so it is on your turn. That's still pretty good. Still pretty good.
Yeah, that is really good. Now you're getting damage on.
No, sorry. The clarification is it's at range 0. You have to be touching these ships.
Yep.
Okay, so you have to, in order to get maximum value out of this, you want to be bumping against several ships, so you can do a trade-off of 2 to 1 or something. Okay. So that's going to be a little bit trickier to pull off. I still like inertial dampeners, the way that it is there with that regen G1, or not G1. What was it? The
Kimogila.
Thank you. And contraband cybernetics. After you activate, you may spend 1
before
charge.
You activate.
Words. Before you activate, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, until the end of the round, you can perform actions and execute red maneuvers, even while stressed. I like this because now when you want to do a red maneuver with actions, now you're not getting too stressed. You're only getting stressed once. So I like this better now.
Yeah, it makes it. It definitely ups the power curve on it. Makes it a little more usable.
Yeah,
and
because
I think it's
before you're.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was saying, because right now you're basically giving up 2 turns with no action. Well, you're giving up 2 follow-up turns with no action. So this is a last resort. I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna be alive for 2 more turns. So I'm just gonna use it. So now this makes it a lot better, and it also lets you take a white maneuver when you're stressed without having to suffer a second stress. So that's good.
Yep. And now we get to. Oops, I lost my spot here. We get to the droids, right? Go ahead, Will.
All right, we start with Genius as the name as a Scum only named droid. After you fully execute a maneuver, if you have not dropped or launched a device this round, you may drop 1 bomb. So similar to the errated version, though it has clarified that launch is anytime you go in front of you. Same referencing Zubio's ability, referenced a 1 forward launch. This refers to only dropping. Has to go behind you. But otherwise, about the same ability. Probably not free
No.
in 2nd edition. Anyways, moving on to another unique droid, R5P8. While you perform an attack against a defender in your forward arc, you may spend 1 charge to reroll 1 attack dice. If the rerolled result is a critical, suffer 1 critical damage. So you can only do this 3 times, and you have a 1 in 8 chance of damaging yourself. But there's no way to damage. I'm trying to think. How did the other one work before?
Yeah, the other one is when people would attack you. Each time you would roll a dice, and you had a chance to do damage on hits to them and crits. Just on crit, you took a damage yourself. This has been significantly toned down. It just lowers their possibility of hitting you. Is all it does. But the risk is now you could suffer damage.
No, this is a before it was a defensive upgrade essentially.
Yeah.
This is an offensive upgrade. It's while you attack, while you perform an attack against a defender in your front arc.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. It's offensive now. Okay,
So
I had the old one mixed up.
It's a 3-time use predator with a potential drawback.
So then here's our first question here, right? Is it? It has to be cheaper than predator, right? Well, I guess predator is bullseye only, right?
Bullseye only. I could see them being costed about the same. Yeah, because it is front arc only. So no like Y wings out your side arcs, or the JumpMasters if they get the droids back. You couldn't do that on the mobile arc. So I think you're going to mostly see this on the Kimogila or a proton torpedo Y wing. Maybe. Well, you don't need to reroll on. Or excuse me, torpedoes keep your target locks for a reroll. So you won't really need it with that. It'll be interesting to find a place. I think anytime you can get a passive modifier, should be good. Can't be bad. We'll move on to I believe the last unique Scum only droid, R5TK. You can perform attacks against friendly ships. Now this one interests me because I had said that previously, they were getting rid of 0-point upgrades. And even on a 200-point scale, I don't know if I would spend a point on this.
I wouldn't. There's no unless they come out with some other type of synergy that makes it so that it's a good thing to attack yourself.
Dead man switch, I guess. Like that's the build, right?
Right.
Do you see? Could this be worth 1 point on a 200-point scale?
I mean, it's such a niche thing, right? I guess you know what, they make it 1 point so that if you want to do that cheeky shooting your own dead man switch ship, you have to pay a point to do it. That's the reason why they cost it a point. Like it will have pretty much no other use.
Yeah, it can't be worth 2 points. Yeah, and I don't want them to make 0-point upgrades, so I'll settle for 1 point on that. Do you want to go through have we gone through the Rebel droids?
Yeah, so these are the droids that are available to everybody. These were in the Rebels. We have touched on them already, so we're going to go ahead and just move past them.
Yeah, just noting that there is no salvage astromechs. Everybody can use the same droids as long as they're not Scum or Rebel only. Which is good, though. That's regen.
Yeah.
Regen on
regen for
a
Scum.
couple of the Scum ships there.
Alrighty, so now we get to the titles. We've seen a few of these already. The Mist Hunter title adds that cannon slot. You can use any cannon, and the barrel roll action. The Marauder title we talked about last week for the Slave 1. The IG-2000 is the same as before. The Andrasta title for the Slave 1, we talked about that last week. And the Houndstooth title is pretty cool here. You can dock any Z95, which I'm excited to see what people do with that, and especially with Moralo being able to dock a Z, and then you use his ability, and you take the Z and Moralo, and you come out from a different spot. I think that's going to be really fun. We want to take a moment and talk about the Slave 1 title, because one thing that was pointed out online today, because Bell of Lost Souls did a unboxing of the Slave 1 expansion, and we noticed that the text on the expansion Slave 1 title, there is a clause in there that wasn't on any of the other ones. So I got my hands on the System Open alternate art Slave 1 title. We also have the picture from the what are these things called? Conversion kit, and that one. And the added clause is right here. So it is after you reveal a turn, maneuver or a bank maneuver, here it is, you may gain 1 stress token. If you do, set your dial to the maneuver of the same speed or bearing in the other direction. And then there is the add a torpedo slot. The other ones don't have that stress mechanic in there. It's simply, you know, when you reveal the turn or the bank, you may set your dial to the other one. I honestly think the stress mechanic is probably the correct one. It is one that would have been printed later, and we've already seen that some things from the Wave 14 second edition packs have already been changed with the iconography being added. And I think this is simply a symptom of them realizing something late and saying, hey, we would rather just change it now when we caught it, and rather than waiting, which I'm okay with. It does kind of suck that there are some people who will right out of the gate of second edition have some outdated cards or incorrect cards, but it is what it is. I did think that the ability was really good when we talked about it last week on the Slave one. Just being able to be like, nah, I'm going to go the other way for no cost doesn't line up with the values of second edition. Everything has been, you have to take a stress or spend something in order to get a beneficial ability. So I think that the stress one is probably the real one. But important to note that you might want to take your Sharpie markers and add that into your Slave 1 titles. Some more titles here. We have the Virago for the Star Viper. It adds 1 shield, which is awesome. The Star Vipers like more health. During the end phase, you may spend 1 charge, because it does have 2 charges on it, to perform a red boost action. It also adds an additional modification slot. Or I can't even say additional, because we don't even know if it has modification slots. It adds a modification slot. Interesting. So what do you guys think? What would be the reason for doing a red boost action at the end phase? Just to kind of get yourself set up for the next turn, I guess, is the reasoning?
If you got a high pilot skill ship or a high initiative ship to block a low initiative ship path, if you want to do something.
There you go.
And knowing that you're going to do a green maneuver anyway, that's a potential. Or just if you know you're going to do a green maneuver anyway, just position yourself in the right place for that green maneuver if you're low initiative.
Yep, I like that. That's awesome. Then the Havoc title, one interesting thing that I see here is that it does say, Scurrg H6 in the requirement text, but it also says Scum. So I think they're not taking away the possibility of possibly getting that Scurrg bomber in Rebels. It's just not there yet. So I do find that interesting. Maybe that was just something, a future proof saying, hey, if we decide to bring it back, for Rebels, maybe they get a different title or something.
I have a theory on that.
Go for it.
You know which of these titles doesn't have Scum only?
Which one?
The Star Viper.
Ooh,
possible Black Sun faction. Ooh. Why else would they do that? Why else would it be the Star Viper only?
OFFG, you sneaky people. I mean, I talked about it in the Q&A I did yesterday. I do think we're going to get more factions. I don't see why not. Give us more. I think it'll be fun. More variety. Variety is the spice of life. So the Havoc title removes the crew slot and also adds a system and droid slot, very similar to before. The Shadowcaster title for the Lancer class pursuit craft says, after you perform an attack that hits, if the defender is in your mobile firing arc and, this is important, and your forward firing arc, that defender gains 1 tractor token. So it's essentially giving you Ketsu Onyo's ability on any of the Shadowcasters, but you have to have hit already in order to get the other one. Before, you only had to be in the mobile firing arc. It does take away the range 1 to 2 restriction. Before it was only range 1 to 2. Now it's the entire range band. But it's going to be more difficult to get off for sure. I know I've been crushed by that Shadowcaster title. a couple times. Nick Tobin, love you, man. And then last title here, the Punishing One title, which Marcel talked about earlier. While you perform a primary attack, if the defender is in your forward firing arc, roll 1 additional attack die. It removes the crew slot and adds the droid slot. So this is the way to get Dengar his 3rd dice, or any of these JumpMasters, a 3rd dice, but it has to be in the primary arc. I do think relative to first edition, the title will most likely be cheaper because it is not an additional dice at the other other 3 sectors of the arc. It's only in the front, so we might actually see that Punishing One title used on some of the other ships. Maybe we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and also this also opens up the possibility of getting more green maneuvers because of that droid.
Oops.
So making it a better maneuverable ship.
The R4 Astromech that you're referring to is small ship only.
So I'm talking about. I'm saying it opens up the possibility.
That's fair.
Maybe one day.
All right.
Go ahead, Marcel.
Gonna happen.
So I would say for this next, for the sensors here, we've seen advanced sensors since the beginning. Same thing with fire control system. Go ahead and hit on that collision detector and trajectory simulator.
While you boost or barrel roll, you can move through and overlap obstacles. After you move through or overlap an obstacle, you may spend 1 charge to ignore its effect until the end of the round. So this got a little bit of a boost. It became limited to 2 uses only, but with boost in that now you can basically ignore it. You can still shoot on top of a rock. You can still action on top of a rock. So, and is it for the rest of the round or just the rest of activation? To ignore its effects until the end of the round. Yeah, awesome. Now, I do have a question. If you're ignoring, let's say you end up halfway with a corner halfway through the rock, and you're ignoring the rock for shooting an opponent, so they're not gonna get that extra defensive die. If they're shooting you back through it, now is it them? I mean, does that ignore the effect of that as well, or is it not?
From what I understand through the cards in the Lando expansion that we had gone over, I think that if you are ignoring the obstacle, your shot is not. That your shot is still obstructed. You just are ignoring its effects.
Okay, so the obstruction would still remain, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think it still remains, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Fire control system. While you perform an attack, if you have a lock on the defender, you may re-roll 1 attack die. If you do, you cannot spend your target lock. Your lock during this attack. So the fire control system changed. This basically gives you Predator with a lock. So it gives you the choice to re-roll 1 or re-roll everything when you have target lock. So this is a combination of something like advanced optics, where you get the choice to advanced optics on something like Poe, where you can choose 1 or both. I don't know. I guess it's definitely not a buff. It hurts. Next is advanced sensors. After you reveal your dial, you may perform 1 action. If you do, you cannot perform another action during your activation. After you reveal your dial, you may perform 1 action. So is this?
It's the same. Nothing's different.
Not really, because does this stop that double action, like the white red, because it's only 1 action?
Correct.
Like, does it stop the combo actions?
Yeah.
So it's not the same. It
Similar,
prevents you from using it it stops you from stressing yourself with double action and then clearing the stress. Is what I'm reading.
Yeah, no, that's totally correct.
Okay. And the last one is Trajectory Simulator. During the system phase, if you would drop or launch a bomb, you may launch it using a 5 forward template instead. This one clarifies it a little bit, but really no change.
Yep.
I do think going back to that drop versus launch, I think this is interesting that there could be a bomb that only launches in the future that doesn't require you to drop it. Might say like launch at a 1 forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Or other ways, right? Now we have all these little hash marks around the base and stuff like that. Like, who knows? You might be able to drop devices from the left or the right as well. So then we get to those EPTs. I know that we covered Trick Shot in the Lando Falcon. Let's go ahead. And same thing with Swarm Tactics. We've talked about that one. Go ahead and hit those other two there, Will.
Okay. Squad leader is unique. While you coordinate, the ship you choose can perform an action only if that action is also on your action bar. And this squad leader will give you a red coordinate. So kind of a limited coordinate, and it's red. But if your ship already has a coordinate that's white, you could still use the squad leader. Also of a note, as far as the difference between first edition, they no longer have to be below your pilot skill. So you could in theory put this on your low pilot skill generic if it has an EPT, and then boost up a better ship. I think it's good. Put a coordinate on anything is very good in my opinion. So I think we will see that, even if it is a red action. The other one's Saturation Salvo. Does require you to have a reload action on your ship, and while you perform a torpedo or missile attack, you may spend 1 charge from that upgrade. If you do, choose 2 defense dice. The defender must reroll those dice. So this would be kind of, I guess, similar to Zuckuss in that way.
Yeah.
That you could reroll the defense dice. I think that's very good on if you are at a generic ship, or I wouldn't say generic, I would say fragile. If you're a fragile ship with a reload, you actually would be considering Saturation Salvo, especially with those missiles that have 3 or 4 charges. This could potentially be very good. The first edition was terrible. Nobody even uses it.
Yeah.
It's not
It's really
great at
bad.
all.
Absolutely. Then we get to another set of EPTs. We've talked about Crack Shot already, expert handling as well. We've also talked about Elusive. We'll hit the other 3 here. So Fearless, you get 3 copies of that one. While you perform a front arc primary attack, if the attack range is 1 and you are in the defender's firing arc, front firing arc, you may add 1 of your results. You may change, excuse me, I started saying the old text. You may change 1 of your results to a hit result. So not as good as the old version. You still have to be face to face, but now it's essentially guidance chips. You change 1 to a hit there. Debris Gambit has been changed. I actually like this one. I think we might actually see this here. While it's small or medium base only. While you perform a red evade action, if there is an obstacle at range 0 to 1, treat the action as white instead. So a cheeky way to get an evade action onto another ship. So that'll be interesting here. And Daredevil, we also touched on that one. I'm going to be greedy and I'm going to take the next one too. Because I love that we're getting these characters. BT1. His counterpart 000 is also in this pack. I'm super excited to see these guys here. So BT1 says Scum or a squad including Darth Vader. So we have, similar to the Maul crew, have two different ways this can happen. So it can go in Empire as long as there's Vader in the squad, and it says it's a gunner, by the way, not a crew, gunner. While you perform an attack, you may change one hit result to a crit result for each stress token the defender has. Have we seen any ways to multi-stress the defender besides them doing it to themselves?
There's this Imperial crew that if you destroy a ship, you get double stressed.
Okay.
I forget the name of it though, because we haven't gone through the Imperial conversion yet.
Yep. So I mean, this seems kind of niche. It doesn't seem very good.
Well, once again, stress, the prevalence of linked actions and ships need to decay turn more often because there's less turrets. I think you'll still see stress on the table. Maybe not multiples though, but I think that may be the point, that it only should work about once per attack.
Mm-hmm. Then we have the boss crew, Scum only. After you perform a primary attack that misses, if you are not stressed, you must receive 1 stress to perform a bonus primary attack against the same target. So very similar. Well, not. The first half is similar to the old card, where if you miss, you have to get a stress, but you don't get the modifiers, but you don't need gunner, which is the combo. You would use boss gunner to get a fully modified attack the second time if you would miss. So he's kind of in the middle there. You don't get any modifiers on the second shot if you spent them on the first one. And then Greedo here, Scum only.
There is another change on there as well.
Did I miss it? What? Go for it.
No, actually there isn't. Never mind.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Greedo has 1 charge, and it is regenerating charge. Has a little arrow next to it. While you perform an attack, you may spend 1 charge to change 1 hit result to a crit result. While you defend, if your charge is active, the attacker may change 1 hit result to a crit result. So I think the idea here is that if you're not attacking, your opponent gets to change hits to crits. If you're not attacking, if you're
not attacking first,
exactly, yeah. So Greedo, I don't think we're gonna see him played very much, but I do like the kind of fluffy thing where Greedo's kind of dumb, and he can hurt himself just as much as other people. And then Dengar has a regenerating charge, Scum only. After you defend, if the attacker is in your firing arc, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, roll 1 attack die unless the attacker chooses to remove 1 token. So they can cancel this ability if they remove 1 green token. On a hit or a crit result, the attacker suffers 1 damage. I like this ability. It's going to give your opponent some choices. This combined with maybe some jam actions could be really good if you can find a ship that also has jam, other way to take away tokens. Marcel, go ahead and hit that next set there.
Skilled Bombardier. If you would drop or launch a device, you may use a template of the same bearing with the speed 1 higher or lower. So I think what the difference here is, before you can do it, with the 2 instead. Now it also impacts Iman, and it also impacts Sol Sista. Mm-hmm. That they can now drop that with the 2 soft 2 banks, and in what is it? In Iman you can drop it with the 4 as well. I think, because it's 3 straight now, 3 forward. Yeah. And I think also with Trajectory Simulator, because it does say launch on there as well, you can take a 5 and bump it down to a 4. So it gives it a lot more flexibility. So this is definitely a correction to the intended use of when it was originally released, but all this other stuff wasn't in the game yet. Next is Hot Shot Gunner. While you perform a mobile arc attack. Now, is that any mobile arc? That little symbol?
And wherever it's pointed at.
Okay. while you perform a mobile arc attack, after the modified defense dice step, the defender removes one focus or calculate token. After the modified defense dice.
So that they have
So
an
basically-
opportunity to spend it.
So it's kind of like a hot shot, but they can spend it first if they don't spend it.
Yeah.
But if they do spend it, then they have to spend a second one.
Yeah, if they have it.
Yeah, so if they have 2 focus tokens or 2 calculate tokens. Is it calculate also?
Yep.
Yep, calculate. So they'll spend 2 calculate or 2 focus tokens. Veteran turret gunner, after you perform a primary attack, you may perform a bonus turreted attack using a turret you did not already attack from this round. So this is basically good for a ship that's shooting from the primary and a turret. This has got Shadowcaster all over it, or Y-Wing. After you perform a primary attack with a rear arc, veteran tail gunner. This is really only for what else does this work on other than
the
arc and the
fire spray.
Fire spray, yeah.
Unless the
VCX maybe. Does the VCX lose something?
It doesn't have a rear arc.
Yep.
Or maybe we'll see.
Any more?
I don't know. That's we'll have to find out with that one. That one's up in the air.
And the rest.
All right, and then Will, go ahead and hit that stack of crew.
The next ones are still loading on my screen, so they're not loaded yet.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's start with Zuckuss here.
Who, me?
No, Will.
They're still loading.
Will.
I'm on it, Marcel. Hold on. So this is Zuckuss crew, Scum only. While you perform an attack, if you are not stressed, you may choose 1 defense die and gain 1 stress token. If you do, the defender must reroll that die. So this is a toned down version of Zuckuss that only works once. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can right now choose 3 dice and take 3 stress tokens currently.
Yeah, as long as you're starting not stressed. Yep.
That's right. Yeah, that's the new. You have to do it unstressed. So it's an even more balanced Zuckuss, but I think still very strong if you can deal with that stress token. Next one is Forlom. While you perform an attack, after rolling attack dice, you may name a type of green token. If you do, gain 2 ion tokens, and during this attack, the defender cannot spend tokens of the named type. The 2 ions would ionize a medium base, but not a large base. And any type of green token. Well, you don't spend reinforces though. Is that correct? This is only referring to the defender cannot spend tokens. Yeah, so it's still it's free.
Evade.
It's well, I guess it would work for calculate. That's where
where
it gets added in now.
And I guess if somebody had an ability where spending the reinforce does something like Loric or something like that, you have 4 options there that you can choose from.
That's still pretty good. It still doesn't ion a large base, so still some potential there. We'll move on to, what do you call this? 000 or 000?
000.
000. Very similar with his other friend. You can also include it in a Darth Vader squad. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 enemy ship at range 0 to 1. If you do, you gain 1 calculate token unless that ship chooses to gain 1 stress. So this is a way to stress a ship, though they do need to be at range 1 of you. And free calculate wouldn't be too bad either.
I like this one.
I mean, passive bonfire and a stress mechanic combined into one. What's not to love? Other than maybe his point cost.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll see what that is.
Next up is Jabba, a double crew Scum only. During the end phase, you may choose one friendly ship at range 0 to 2 and spend 1 charge. If you do, that ship recovers recovers 1 charge on one of its equipped illicit upgrades. And Jabba the Hutt has 4 charges. So 4 times per game on 4 different rounds, you can recharge illicits, which is pretty good. If I understand, I will work on rigged cargo chutes. So that should be fun. I will say that from what I understand, these conversion kits do not include those tokens.
They don't.
Bombs or debris. So that's something. So you had to own 5 debris clouds.
That's right.
Which would be amazing. Couple that with a couple seismic charges, could be a fun time. Anyways, moving on to IG-88D. His ability reads: you have the pilot ability of each other friendly ship with the IG-2000 upgrade. After you perform a calculate action, gain 1 calculate token. And this also gains a calculate action. So it not only gives you the ability of the IG-2000 ship, but also the advanced droid brain as well, giving you a double calculate action there. Which is good. That's actually worth bringing just for the double calculate.
I was just gonna say that, you know, it has a function outside of being paired with another IG-88.
That's pretty good. Can't complain about that. Moving on to the last one in this set, Unkar Plucked. After you partially execute a maneuver, you may suffer 1 damage to perform 1 white action. So almost identical to his current edition, though the action must be white.
Mm-hmm. Then we get into some more crew here. Perspective co-pilot we've talked about before. Same thing with tactical officer. We'll hit some of these other ones here. Seasoned navigator. This is no requirements. Just need to have a crew slot. After you reveal your dial, you may set your dial to another non-red maneuver of the same speed. While you execute that maneuver, increase its difficulty. So, you know, it's navigator is what it used to do before, right? Navigator does the same thing. They just add the seasoned version.
The difference is the same speed. This will actually work more like stay on target, because you can change a 2 bank left to a hard 2 right.
Got it. You got to stay in the same speed there. Okay. Then you have the freelance slicer, another crew. While you defend, before attack dice are rolled, you may spend a lock you have on the attacker to roll 1 attack die. If you do, the attacker gains 1 jam token. Then, on a hit or a crit result, gain a jam token. So you're guaranteeing a jam on them, and you have a 50% chance to jam yourself. Novice technician. At the start of the round, you may roll 1 attack die to repair 1 face-up damage card. Then, on a hit result, expose 1 damage card. You're right. You are novice. Like, I fixed it. Oh, crap. I broke something else. I love that. Absolutely love that. Then the Gonk droid has 1 charge. Marcel, you were asking about the Gonk earlier. Set up. Lose 1 charge, so you don't start charged up. Action, recover a charge. Action, spend a charge to recover 1 shield. So it takes 2 turns to get a shield back, essentially. Is what it's saying.
I would say a big point of this is it's not faction locked anymore.
Anybody with the crew. I mean, that makes sense, right? Like Gonk droids, you saw them all over in Star Wars. Like why can't I have a a a gonk. Then we get to this next set of crew, and Marcel, I'm gonna let you take most of these. I want to talk about the one on top because originally we were told that Maul crew didn't come in this Scum conversion kit, and that was something that a lot of people were talking about. But there is one. But somebody did bring up another point to me, which I don't know if you've noticed. I forgot to bring it up earlier. Back when we were talking about titles. There is no Moldy Crow title in this box.
I did notice that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how to get one of those. Again, secondary market's probably going to be your best bet because it is a unique card. But that's I think the next one where people are gonna sink the hook in. It's like, hey, but what about this one? Because I think that's an oversight there by FFG for sure. Because
is there a Moldy Crow card in the 2.0 game?
There is. It's a Rebel. Well, it's not a Rebel. It's a Hawk title. But I was gonna ask, is that title Rebel
It's
only
not
by any
Rebel.
chance? It's not, right?
It is not Rebel only.
Yeah. I do want to take a second real quick. Mashari, I want to say good morning to you, sir.
Hey, Mashari.
Other side of the world. Yeah, so Boba Fett we talked about yesterday. Go ahead and read us those other ones.
Right. We got Maul, like you said, with a force, with a rechargeable force. After you suffer damage, you may gain 1 stress token to recover 1 force point. You can equip dark side upgrades. So this basically gives the Scum, a Scum ship, the ability to upgrade. I mean, to equip dark side, which I think is could be pretty powerful.
There's no dark side upgrades yet, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the ability to take cross faction things. I just like the whole concept of it. Then we have Cad Bane. After you drop or launch a device, you may perform a red boost action. It's a completely different one than what we have now. You don't get the rerolls, but it does give you an extra action if you're planning on using bombs.
And I think the other thing there is that they took away the whole adding a bomb slot, so they don't have to worry about shenanigans of other people that shouldn't be having bombs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you get Vizago, Cicatro. During the end phase, you may choose 2 illicit upgrades equipped to friendly ships at range 0 to 1. If you do, you may exchange these upgrades. End of game, return all illicit upgrades to their original ships. So now instead of just taking something from nowhere, you have to have them equipped, and you're basically swapping instead.
Right.
Instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to pull out one of these 6 different things I can do.
Here's something interesting for future proofing, right? That they didn't do is that they didn't give a point cost. So you can, I know we only have, what was it, like 6 illicits, and they all seem like they're going to be priced about the same. If a more powerful illicit comes out, you can essentially go over 200 points during the game. That's why that end of game text is there, that it goes back to the original.
Yep.
It doesn't say requirement on that either. Could you then put a rigged cargo chute on a small base ship?
That sounds FAQ. Probably
it says
not.
Exchange.
So that means they swap. You don't get anything extra. They just swap.
Right. It seems more useful of like, oh, you're about to die, but you have a better illicit than me. Let me get that better illicit.
Yeah. And that's the way I see it as well. And the whole end of game thing, I think it's more of how you start your next match. I don't know. Anyway, let's Razi. While you defend, if the attacker is stressed, you may remove 1 stress from the attacker to change one of your blank or focus results to an evade result. basically the same thing. Just clarified a little bit, but actually not the same thing because it's not adding one, you're changing.
Right.
So you're modifying a die versus adding a die. So it's not as strong, but it's still going to be probably glued to Ventress still.
Here's something interesting about Vizago. Do you think you'd be able to swap out an illicit? This is from one of our viewers here. Do you think you'd be able to swap out an illicit that's already been used and use it?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, no, I don't think you would regenerate the charges, but I'm thinking like, oh, you're about to die and you haven't used your illicit yet. Let me get that illicit, so I can use it later.
Yeah, I think Will's got it. That it's not going to recharge; it's just going to let you swap it.
Okay.
But it doesn't say anything about recharging the illicit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right, Ketsu Ono. At the start of the end phase, you may choose one enemy ship at range 0 to 2 in your firing arc. It doesn't specify front of firing arc; it just says firing arc. If you do, that ship does not remove its tractor tokens. I think that's the same as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Then Informant setup. After placing forces, choose one enemy ship and assign the listening
device.
Listening? Okay. Listening device condition to it, which I have no idea. Is it down
it's
here?
Right underneath it, yeah.
During the system phase, if an enemy ship with the informant upgrade is at range 0 to 2, flip your dial face up. Okay, so it's basically
it's Intel agent.
Intel agent, but to only one ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes Intel agent less useful, but if I don't know, it's should be. Well, how can you be cheaper than 1 point? Well, I guess 1 point, half a point, because now it's 1 point out of 200.
Maybe. I mean that ability. Honestly, Intel agent
that ability was
undercosted. So
for sure.
We abused the heck out of that one. But
yeah. This is coming from someone who is running what 3 Intel agents in your triple boats list. Is that right?
Kinda.
Yeah. So they're making it unique for no apparent reason.
Yeah. It is specifically your fault, Marcel. This is you brought this.
Bah.
That is the Marcel listening device. Somebody with Photoshop skills, when we get better photography of this card, needs to Photoshop Marcel's face onto that guy and make the token. We should probably just do that. We're going to make that happen.
We're going to make Marcel listening device tokens.
Yep. No comment from Marcel. Fantastic. We'll move on. Will, is it your turn? I've lost track.
Yes, I think I go after Marcel.
Yep.
Moving on to modifications. The first one is stealth device. While you defend, if your charge is active, roll 1 additional defense dice. After you suffer damage, lose 1 charge of its single. So it's a one-time use. Stealth device basically is the same as it's always been. But with less accurate attacks, that might actually be more beneficial in 2nd edition than it was in 1st. Moving on to Tactical Scrambler. Is a medium or large base only. While you obstruct an enemy ship's attack, the defender rolls 1 additional defense dice. So, was it still called Tactical Scrambler in the 1st edition?
No, it's called
Tac Jammer.
Yeah, Tactical Jammer. Yep.
So functions the same way, though it does work on medium bases now.
But uses the art for Sensor Jammer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of confusing. Hopefully we won't see Sensor Jammer. Anyways, move on to munitions failsafe. While you perform a torpedo or missile attack, after rolling attack dice, you may cancel all dice results to recover 1 charge you spent as the cost for the attack. So this is interesting. You have to do this before the defender rolls dice, but you can do it Oh, and you also have to do it before you modify those dice as well.
Yep.
So I don't know I don't know how they can make munitions failsafe worse, but they found out a way.
Well,
They found a way.
munitions failsafe is really good on Justero in first edition.
Oh,
Like,
because it's free and
yeah,
you get to bring it with no penalty.
correct.
Then yes, that free card that doesn't cost you anything or slot or anything. Yeah, that's really good. All right, moving on to static discharge veins. If you would gain an ion or jam token, you may choose a ship at range 0 to 1. If you do, gain 1 stress token and transfer 1 ion or jam token to that ship. So this is similar to what we have right now, though it will stress you, and you can move that ion over to them. Oh wait, no, this is kind of what's that illicit called now? Static.
It's the one that comes with pulse ray shield.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody uses it, so I forget the name of it.
I think
but,
that the issue with the
Static
with the old
discharge, I
one
think.
is that the opponent
static
has a
discharge.
choice and they can like cancel it by spending something.
Yeah, how it works right now is that if you gain an ion token and there's an enemy at range 1, they can either take that ion and you have to discard your card, or if they don't take the ion, it just goes away. It just dissipates. In this version, this is a little bit closer to electronic baffle, where if you take a token, you can give it to them and get a stress. It just seems balanced. Same thing you were talking about the slave title. You have to do something. You have to gain a stress for using this ability now. Though, pretty funny situation. Someone jams you, and you jam them right back, which is pretty funny.
Man.
Yeah, I don't like your jamming. Why don't you be jammed? All right, the last one's pretty basic. It's just a shield upgrade for just adds 1 shield value.
And just taking a quick scroll through what we have left here, nothing is specific to Scum, and there are cards that are coming in all of the other kits, so we're actually going to leave those alone. But yeah, so we went through a ton of pilots, a bunch of Scum-specific, upgrades and things, and just looking at it, what are some of, for each of us, we'll kind of hit on what is one thing that really stands out to you from this Scum expansion, from new things that you've seen. I'll say for myself, or maybe just something you're excited about. I really like that I saw BT1 and 000 in the Scum expansions. If you haven't read the Darth Vader comics or the Dr. Aphra comics, they're in there. They're hilarious and actually pretty cool as well. So just getting them into the game, I just think is super cool. I'm excited about that. Marcel.
Oh, I was muted. I think most of this has been new to me. I haven't been keeping up as much with, like I wasn't on last week when you guys talked about the fire spray, and I've been running around. For those who don't know, I'm actually moving apartments this week, and then I'm going off to Europe, and then I'm just jumping around, doing other things. So I haven't been keeping up. So for me, I don't know if it's been revealed before, but just everything that's going on with the Dallin Oberos, Tyrannical, and that particular ship to me seems going to be really exciting. Was Dallin something that was revealed before?
That was completely
new?
That was new in this kit.
Yeah, just that ability to me seems really good. Just being able to not just regenerate a shield, but regenerate a shield by stealing it from someone. Just seems really good.
And Will.
I would say, I'm going to say the Hawks, but I already knew that. I was real excited for the Hawks. I would actually say the illicits. I don't think that there was too many options currently for what a good illicit is, and I think all of them now kind of have a role. They're viable now.
Fantastic. So, awesome segment. We went through all that. Now we're entering the segment. We haven't used the music for a while, but here we go. This is What Have You Done With Those Plans?
There's plans.
There are plans. And we have a big announcement. Those of you who are watching live, you guys are the first ones to hear about this. Marcel, you might not even know about this.
Probably not.
But we are going to be putting on an event. It's funny. I know somebody's gonna rib me and say, "Well, the Minox did this." I will tell you that we actually had this in the pipeline, but we had a couple of delays, so we didn't want to. We've been talking about it, but we didn't give it a name yet. We just called it the Scout event, but now we have an official name. It is called the Gold Squadron Classic. This will be our first ever Gold Squadron specific event, and our first run of it, we're calling it our alpha run, is we already planned this charity event. So this year it will be a charity event. In the future, we'll just have to see how it goes. Ron is we're raising money for his Boy Scout troop, and their trailer that they use for camping is trashed, and they're trying to raise money for a new one and a nice one. Stuff that's the plan, and we're going to be running X-Wing, Destiny, Armada, Imperial Assault, Legion, and Star Wars LCG. We can take up to 128 X-Wing players in this venue. The venue is huge. The date for the event is September 22nd. And event registration will open this Friday. That is July 13th. It is in the Chicagoland area. It's going to be out in the suburbs. I'm going to get all the address and all this posted before with registration. So anybody who can join us, that'll be tons of fun. The registration cost will be $25 for whichever event you want to be a part of. And we already got a sizable donation. It's $1,000 worth of price support when it comes to like Star Wars toys and stuff like this. Like it's gonna be cool. We're gonna be doing some raffles and giveaways. We'll of course be streaming it. It is going to be a second edition event, and once we get some more details on the second edition thing, this is gonna pretty much be the very first second edition event that's going to be happening. It comes out on September 13th. And September 22nd, we have our first premiere event. So looking forward to that. That's going to be tons of fun. And again, we are doing X-Wing, Destiny, Armada, Imperial Assault. It will be all one day with the event. So we'll be starting early and going there. The exact format will be dependent on how many people show up. But that'll be fun. Pre-register early to get some exclusive swag that I'll be spoiling with the registration. So I'm super excited about that. Hopefully we can get a bunch of people to come out and just the fact that it's a charity event is tons of fun. What do you guys think about that?
I hope I can make it. It sounds great.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like it's going to bring a lot of people in.
So, and again, we're calling this the alpha test because, here's the other part with it. Some people might not know, like, we talk to the other podcasts, and what we're doing is we're teaming up with the Carolina Crates and the Minox, and these three events will be happening yearly, and we are calling this the X-Wing Triple Crown. So that's going to be some fun. And essentially, if you can manage to win the Triple Crown, you will have a full assortment of gear that you can physically wear to show that you won the Triple Crown. The crates have the belt, and the Minox will be getting. I don't know if I should talk about that one yet because they should already talk about it first. They'll have a thing, and ours is literally a crown. Literally a crown. So you have this full getup. If you win, it's ridiculous, but it's fun. So in the name of fun, it should be a good time, and we'll see who wins. Who's going to be the first one to win the Triple Crown. And then yeah, so get pumped. GoldSquadronPodcast.com is where the registration will be happening, and then again, the event is going to be September 22nd. Put it on your calendar. Come on out. So you can watch all of our live X-Wing events and content on Twitch TV/Gold Squadron Podcast. Upcoming, like we said, on this upcoming weekend, we have our TPK Store Championship we're going to be streaming from in our Store Championship series. You can watch all of our replays of our videos and our podcast on our YouTube channel. Just go ahead and search Gold Squadron Podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe there so you get your notifications. And lastly, if you enjoy the show and you want to help us continue expanding our content, you can go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron to get that awesome swag. And also, don't forget to click that Twitch Prime button every 30 days. It's literally free money that you're throwing at us, and it really makes a huge difference. So thank you to everybody who's taken the time to click that. And if you don't know how to do that, there's a video on our YouTube page, or just send me a message. I'll show you how to do it. If you have Amazon Prime, it's literally free money. So for Marcel and Will, my name is Dion Morales. Gold Squadron, out.